know what's up.
This podcast will also contain a fist fight for sure.
Showtime. Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely murderous co-host, Lynn.
Yes, I did it. I killed Yvette. I hated her so much. The flames on the side of my face, breathing, heaving breaths, heaving.
Cut!
You just reminded me why I hate this movie. I didn't know we were doing Disaster Piece Theater. Okay.
There was
Hope
no
you guys
way
get
I was
it.
not doing the best quote in the entire movie.
Okay. And joining us again, the podcaster with a degree in terror, Tony. What's up, Tony?
Hey, how's it going?
All right. Tonight, we will be discussing the 1985 mystery movie, Clue, written by John Landis and Jonathan Lynn, directed by Jonathan Lynn, starring the great Tim Curry, Madeline Kahn, Christopher Lloyd, Martin Mull, Leslie Ann Warren, Michael McKean, and many others. The great Michael McKean, who is the only redeeming thing in this movie. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you hadn't seen the movie, don't bother. Just listen to the podcast, and I'll let you
This
know what's up.
podcast will also contain a fist fight for sure.
It was so nice having Tony on the podcast for all those times. It's a shame he had to quit.
That's fucking great. Okay. So, first off, thanks everybody who is joining us on YouTube. I was just saying to Tony, it's amazing that we've kind of found our platform over there. So if you are listening on YouTube, which you probably are, just take 2 seconds, hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps the show grow, and we would really, really appreciate it. So if you could just take a minute, just stop the pod and do it right now. That way you won't forget. Okay. And secondly, after tonight's show, we will be taking a 1-week break to avoid total burnout, which it's too late because we are already totally burnt out, if you haven't noticed. We have done 85 shows consecutively without a single break, but we will be back on April 21st with Pat, and our movie review that week will be The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser. Much better movie than this, so yes.
It's also, I think, the 25th anniversary of that movie that same weekend, so thumbs up.
You are correct. I got a fact on this one. Don't laugh at first. So this movie is based on the popular board game Clue, patented by, but that's not the fact. That's not the fact. Patented by a British musician named Anthony Pratt in 1944 and released in 1949. This game originally went by the title Cluedo. So there you go. Now you got the backstory on the board game. Dylan, you got any facts on this one?
So I'm going to tip my hat on my recasting couch early because Carrie Fisher was supposed to be Miss Scarlet, and she ended up in rehab and treatment. So she still tried to get it done, but the insurance company didn't want her on the set, so she could not do it. Leslie Ann Warren was married to one of the producers, I believe, and he just kind of tapped her last second to get in there so that they could make the movie.
Interesting. Hey, Tony, do you know anything about this that listeners need to know?
The cool fact that I read about was the fact that, when they show they pull back and they show the whole, like, the entrance, the floor is a parquet, which is in a way they did that on purpose to make it look like the spaces on the board. And all of the rooms are laid out as if you laid out the Clue board. Like the kitchen's in the top corner and then there's a study. And I thought that was really subtly genius.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cool. Too bad it didn't matter in the plot of the movie. Okay, let's do the Fast Five. So today's Fast Five is going to be Character Showdown. I mean, dude, I come up with these for 2 different podcasts every week, and keeping them interesting and fun, not easy. Not easy. So today we got character showdown. I'm going to give you 2 characters, and you're going to tell me which character is better, in your opinion. Of course, these are factual answers, so your opinion doesn't matter. Here we go. Number 1, Frankenfooter or the Darkness? Dylan, which is the better character? Oh. Heads
dare
explode. Heads explode.
How dare
It's
you?
It's like which of my child don't I want? You know.
I love it.
I know.
Oh man.
It's like, do I have to cut him in half? I mean, shit.
Oh.
I'm gonna go with Frank just because it's Rocky, but I really
And-
love the Darkness.
Tony, which one's better?
I mean, not for nothing. I years of seeing Frank, but if I'm going to sit down and go, which one impressed me more, fucking the Darkness. That makeup was just amazing, and shit he had to go through to deal with that. And I'm going to go Darkness.
The correct answer is the Darkness, for all the reasons that Tony said. Okay, nice job, Tony. Glad you're wrong. But you know what? There is no wrong answer on number 1.
No.
Yeah.
So,
No,
but the Darkness. Just, I mean, the Darkness visually. Oh.
Oh,
But then
so
again,
good.
Frankenfooter visually. Oh.
Yeah.
I
The
don't know.
two
It's
ends
all-
of the spectrum.
It's all good. It's all good. Okay, number 2, Annie Wilkes or Jack Torrance? Tony, which one's better?
Oh, fucking Jack Torrance, no doubt.
Okay.
Shining is a fucking best movie. That's an
Okay.
easy one.
Dylan, which one's better?
yeah, I got to go Jack there as well.
The correct answer is Jack Torrance. But Annie Wilkes, good character, man.
Great
Holy shit.
character.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but you can't put anyone up against Jack. I mean, Jesus Christ.
I mean, that's underrated torture porn. Am I mistaken, or is that torture porn?
What, Misery?
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Close
mean,
enough.
That's,
When she hobbles them. Oh,
wow.
brutal.
Any bones? No, don't do
Yeah.
bones.
Yeah, tough.
Cut things off people, fine. You start bending bones the wrong way, you fucking lost me.
Number 3, and we're gonna do a little robot showdown here. We got one Roy Batty or the Terminator. Which one's better? Tony.
Oh, shit. I love Rucker Hauer and Blade Runner. So I gotta go Roy Batty. Fucking that. Oh, just the monologue at the end.
The monologue at the end.
Oh, it's so good. It's so
So good.
good.
Oh God, 5 rewatches. That's what I gave it. Go over and listen to the Blade Runner episode, and you can get all of our thoughts on that. So, Lynn, which one's better?
I mean, the Terminator made it through what 3-4 movies, whereas poor old Roy did not. But the acting performance given by Rutger Hauer, I gotta give it to him.
Yeah, the correct answer is Roy Batty, and it's not even really a contest. Okay, number 4, and I wrote this one specifically for Tony. Quint or Jack Burton? Which one is better, Tony? That's great.
I hate this.
I needed that.
Quint is just the best, but Jack Burton lives, and it's all in the reflexes, man. If Quint had the reflexes, he'd still be with us. So I gotta go Jack Burton. That's fucked up, but I gotta go Jack Burton.
Jolene, which one's better?
I'm on the Pork Chop Express. I gotta go Jack Burton.
Oh, the correct answer is Quint, because he got drunk during filming. The man is dedicated to the craft. Quint is the correct answer.
Total
Okay.
method acting.
Yes, method acting. And he was an alcoholic. Number 5, Tony Montana or Michael Corleone? Tony, which one is better?
Oh, dude, this is a great fucking. You're killing me this
Thank
week.
you. Thank you.
That I gotta go Corleone. I mean, I just rewatched Scarface, and I forgot how fucking good it is because it became a parody of itself after the years it's been out.
Yeah.
But man,
yeah.
watching it, it's just so intense. But no, Corleone. I mean, The Godfather is a saga, an epic, and a fucking masterpiece. So
All right, Andalyn, which one is the correct answer?
I also have to go Corleone here.
Okay, the correct answer is Tony Montana, because everybody needs a bad guy. Make you feel good about yourself, you fuckers. Okay, so there it is. There were no wrong answers.
that was terrible.
I know. Hey, better than my Mark Wahlberg. Hey, Sad your mouth for me, all right?
Just waiting to see if he was showing up again. Out of nowhere.
There were no wrong answers there. They
It's a
were all
Wahlberg ring.
yeah. The only wrong answer would have been the probably Misery. So and the Terminator. Okay. Let's see. With a box office budget of $15 million and a box office return of $14 million, this was considered a huge disappointment. Jesus, I can't believe it made 14. All right. Let's do some quick opening thoughts. So I have never seen this movie before. Played the game plenty of times. And
That says everything we need to know about where we're going.
No, so dude, listen, I love Rocky Horror. And I see what they wanted to do here, but it just didn't work. I started watching it. I wanted to like it. I started taking notes, like I was watching this movie and, I was doing that thing for the first like 10 minutes where I'm like, all right, maybe it's this one. Maybe, this is the plot. This is going to be the hook. And then I realized, no, that none of this, you can't do that with this movie because nothing matters. It's just a trash bag full of meaningless exposition, machine gun fired at you, and the end has nothing to do with the movie. It's just a jumbled mess. And once I realized that, I stopped trying to like critically break this thing down for a intelligent conversation and just started shitting on it. So there you go. Tony, what are your opening thoughts on Clue? Have you ever seen it before?
You stupid motherfucker.
Yes, I love it.
No, I've seen it many times. I didn't see it on original release. I gotta be honest with you. When it came out, I'm still not a comedy guy. I appreciate good ones. This to me is possibly in my top 20 comedies of all time.
This is a comedy?
Now,
Yes.
the reason for it is because I'm a huge fan of rapid fire jokes. Your criticism for the rapid fireness of it is exactly why I like it.
They're
When
not funny jokes.
But no, the fucking thing is they are funny because they're so fast you miss them. And they're done so straightforward. That's what makes them funny. Everybody committed themselves to this movie 100%. No one winks at the audience. They deliver their lines. I mean, granted, there's some overacting, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a quote, 1940s, 1950s performances of like the old. If this was shot in black and white, you can consider this like a film noir comedy.
Yeah.
The closest thing I can relate this to is like a Marx Brothers movie. They just throw these lines out, and if you miss one, you might catch two or three in the meantime. The ensemble cast, I don't think there's one real of the main cast is not one bad performance. Everybody has a spotlight on them. Everybody has their own lines where they just fucking are brilliant. And the funny thing is, when we said we were doing Clue, I'm like, there's no way we can even go scene by scene because your criticism of it's just the exposition doesn't matter. The explanation is where everything ties up. Whether you get ending A, B, or C, which we'll get to, it really doesn't matter because you can't break this down. It's like, all right, well, this event happens, this event happens, this event happens. We literally could talk for half an hour like, all right, it's a murder mystery. 7 people show up, give the theme of it, and then it just comes down to what jokes were said to get there.
Ugh.
So this could be like a 15 to 20-minute episode, and we can get through it. And I think that's why I like it so much because we're slowly introduced to each character and why they're there and their idiosyncrasies. And again, the second and third time you watch this movie, you start knowing how it ends. You start to say, all right, was that person there? And like you look at all three endings, who was not in the study when they were talking about that? And you see, does it line up? And motherfucker, it does. That's how smart this movie was. And the fact I had no idea and forgot somehow that John Landis wrote this.
Wow.
So I mean, Animal House, American Werewolf in London, and fucking Clue. Like that's a trinity right there. The man's got.
Oh,
just
one of these movies is not like the other. One of these movies isn't funny. I didn't laugh once. Not once. And I'm a comedy guy. I did not laugh one time.
Because it's not slapstick. It's not dumb comedy. It's
not
quick-witted comedy. It is funny.
I laughed during fucking Rocky Horror. Same basic idea.
No,
that's different.
See, you're laughing at Rocky Horror. No one laughs with Rocky Horror. This you have to appreciate the cleverness and the quick interlacing of the jokes and the line deliveries. Let me take that back. I want to stop using the word jokes because there are no jokes in this movie.
No jokes.
There are deliveries and there are reactions, and that's what you laugh at. The fact that, like, I'm a homosexual, and you get Tim Curry looking like, that's not what I was going to say. It's
Yeah,
not a
looking at the
joke, but it's a
paperwork.
reaction. So it's like those small things, like that's the humor I so appreciate, is you can't write it. It's all in how the actors deliver these lines. Because if you read the script, it's not funny. You're right. But it's the reactions and the deliveries that make this movie fucking beautiful.
Yeah. Let me piggyback on that too, is that because I have seen this so many times and I knew every line and I knew everything that was happening, I kind of did that thing where I started watching people in the background to see if you could catch people sleeping. Never. At all times, people are reacting and are engaged fully. And like you see funny funny faces from people that you didn't see because you were so busy watching the main action on the screen. But up in the corner you've got like Professor Plum given a mug, and it's like, it's really clever. And like Tony said, everybody committed to this fully. Even if it didn't do well, it was not because of the actors.
Wow, I didn't see any of that. Jesus. I was watching a different movie. I was literally...
No, well, you were looking for a comedy and you didn't get it, so you started shitting on it.
No, that's not true. I was just...
You just told us that's what you did.
I went in here... No, it's not what I said. So I went into this with an open mind, looking to have fun, and it was not fun. I was looking at the timer every 10 minutes going, oh my God, how much more is left? I couldn't believe it. All right, let's get into this. I will give you a synopsis. 6 guests talk a lot. Okay, Dylan, go ahead. No, I'm joking. 6 guests are anonymously invited to a strange mansion for a dinner, but after their host is killed, they must cooperate with the staff to identify the murder as the bodies pile up. Who fucking cares?
I do.
By the end of this thing, I was like, I don't give a fuck.
I do.
Any of these endings. Can all shit in a hat. Okay, let's do it.
You can shit in a hat.
Wouldn't be the first time. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. In 1954, a butler named Wadsworth arrives to a secluded mansion in New England. He checks in with the maid Yvette and the cook, Mrs. Ho, to make sure that they're ready for their guests. Arriving first is Colonel Mustard, who is reminded to use the pseudonym he has been given to protect his identity. Next, Mrs. White arrives, then Mrs. Peacock and Mr. Green. Miss Scarlet had car trouble, and the pervy Professor Plum stops to pick her up. They're the last to arrive, being served champagne just as the cook sounds the gong that dinner is ready. So, first of all, I'd like to talk about this set, because for a very long time, I thought that this was filmed in an actual mansion. I didn't realize it was a set because it looks so real. So everything except for the exterior shots and that one ballroom scene with Scarlett walking towards the window is all a set. There is additional paint in the exterior scenes to make the mansion look bigger than it is. And that ballroom was on location because they didn't want to build a whole room for just that 2-minute scene. Additionally, they borrowed antiques from different places, including the estate of Theodore Roosevelt. And last but not least, the set was eventually bought by the production company that filmed Dynasty. They stripped the mansion down and redecorated it to serve as the Carlton Hotel on Dynasty.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you want to talk about the opening scene?
That was good.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on the opening scene?
Are you talking to me, Tony? I'm sorry.
Talking to you, Dylan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I love all these entrances. I know you hated the dog poop on the shoe joke. I thought it was funny.
You're reading are you reading my...
No, you told me. You told me. It makes me laugh. I think it's funny because it's very subtle. It's so subtle.
Oh, it's so subtle. Everyone was sniffing their shoe.
Oh, did somebody take their shoe off and sniff their shoe? Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. All right.
I love that. I love when Mrs. White takes off her coat and it's all white and you get the bring music. It's just ridiculous. And of course, when the cook hits the gong and Green, the drink goes flying and hits Mrs. Peacock, it's setting you up. You know exactly who these people are with minimal anything happening already. I can tell already you have
these
plenty of bullshit to say.
Plastic one-dimensional characters. Okay, so right off the bat, so this is where I'm watching the movie and I'm thinking I'm going to get this great mystery movie and I'm going to have tons to say about it and it's going to be completely engaging. So right off the bat, we see Wadsworth messing with the length of the dog chains. And I love shit like this. I don't know if he's made them shorter. I don't know if he's made them longer. I just know that they're trying to tell me this guy is potentially untrustworthy character. I like that. But then we get the poop on the shoe joke, and it's not funny. I don't laugh. And then they call it back again, and I don't laugh again because it wasn't funny the first time. And when Wadsworth almost walks into the knife that the cook is holding, she raises it up, and it almost puts him in the throat, and we get the scary music. I knew at that moment I was in for a long fucking night of over-the-top satire and poop jokes, which is just what we get. I was getting a little bit of a Rocky Horror vibe here, cars breaking down in the rain at night, finding their way to the mansion. I mean, it's fucking Rocky Horror, just not as good. We got Frankfurter waiting for him, the host of the show. I mean, I was waiting for Meatloaf to come running out, but unfortunately that never happened. I was encouraged when I saw Michael McKean as Mr. Green, and he was the only one that I really liked in this movie. I was always entertained when he was on the screen, but with as many characters as they had, it wasn't enough Mr. Green to save the movie. I also noticed there was a lot of inappropriate womanizing, like ass grabbing. There was like homosexual shaming. It was just a fucking weird movie, man. I didn't like it. Right off the bat. Tony, what do you got?
You're wrong.
Okay.
And I love the poop joke. I love the callback. Everybody's different reaction to it was like, and again, it's not laugh out loud funny. It's just an appreciation for, again, subtleties. Even though you think it's like this big obvious thing, it gave someone something to do while he hung up a coat. I thought it was, again, something that was good. And again, the way that they react to it goes along with their character. Miss Peacock was very, very nervous about it. And Miss White was just very, very subtle and very just intent with every action she does, but still trying to be good. So I appreciated, again, another level to introducing these characters without giving us an explanation, beating us over the head who they are, because we don't know who they are yet. We don't know why they're there. But you could see the characters come out in each person's physical introduction. Again, this is where we start to see the dialogue being the fucking star of the show. Every introduction, every interaction between them, just boom, boom, boom. Like, Wadsworth mustard. It's so quick. It's like, so what do you do here? Oh, I'm the butler. And what is it that you do? I buttle, sir. It's like, it's such a simple answer, but again, the way he delivers it makes me smile every single fucking time. And it's one of those stupid lines. The quotes in this movie rival like the Holy Grail for me. Like, I could literally at least 2 or 3 times a week, I can say, there's something in this movie that I will quote. It's just, for me, it's so good. That's just the opening scene, and I'll just stop there because I have so many more thoughts. I can just keep going.
So,
No, let me step in here real quick. So yes, it's inappropriate womanizing. Yes, it's inappropriate the way that they behave about Green being a homosexual, but it's 1954, and that's the portrayal of what it was like back then. So
that's his reason for blackmail.
Yeah.
Back then in the McCarthy era, you literally were blackballed for anything.
Right, yes. But he says I'm a homosexual, and then fucking Woodsworth goes, he kind of gets off the couch like he's dirty. It's fucking not funny.
Oh, that's the Professor Plum does that.
Yeah, whatever. Professor Plum.
But that's how people behaved.
But it doesn't mean you need to put it in a fucking satire movie. It's for a fucking cheap joke. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's just
I agree. It's not. That particular thing is not funny. But I'm just saying, consider the time, 1985, doing a movie that's set in the 50s. That would have been a natural reaction.
And you can't do 2 hours of straight exposition dump where you're dumping fucking literally every character is spitting out fucking 300 lines a second. The funny little moments that Tony you're talking to are getting fucking gobbled up by all this exposition. You can't even see it.
That's the thing, is the exposition is explaining why they're there and explaining the ins and outs of the quote mystery. You gave up on it too early. So this explanation was horrible exposition because you just wanted to find out, all right, fucking who did it, because I'm done with the way they're explaining everything. I loved, and I'm someone who's like, dude, edit the scene. I could have watched another 2 hours of this movie of them talking about anything because the performances were so fucking crafted and so, like, the dialogue was delivered so well.
Dude,
I
I literally
agree.
wrote in my notes somewhere that this dialogue and acting felt like a local stage performance like you would get at like the fucking Hanover Elks Club by like the
Oh
local
my god.
all right,
Listen,
let's keep going. Let's keep
I'm
going.
not about to say that this is a masterclass, but
Oh God,
you
no.
have some fantastic actors doing
Yes.
a good job.
No.
I'm sorry. You're
No.
wrong. You're
This is
wrong.
bad.
You're
Go ahead.
wrong. I'm moving on.
Go
You're
ahead.
wrong.
Go ahead.
Okay. You're wrong. So they all sit for dinner and told another guest will be arriving shortly. Mrs. Peacock tries to make conversation unsuccessfully until a seventh guest, Mr. Body, arrives. This newcomer is a creep and makes the rest of the guests uncomfortable. Everyone's appetite ruined. It's decided to retire to the library for brandy and the revelation of why they're all here. Wadsworth reveals that Mr. Body has been blackmailing all of them. Miss Scarlet is a madam. Colonel Mustard got caught with his pants down with a call girl. Professor Plum slept with one of his patients. Mrs. Peacock received bribes to sway her husband's vote because he's a senator. Mrs. White killed her husband, and Mr. Green is a gay man working for the government and will be fired if he is found out. The group has been gathered to confront Mr. Body and turn him over to the police, who will arrive soon. So this is our setup. It explains why these strangers are here, what they all have in common. Tons of clever dialogue in the scenes. It moves very fast, and like Tony was saying, it moves so fast that it's easy to miss what's being said. And I think that I probably didn't even really appreciate this movie until like the third or fourth time I saw it, because I started to pick up all of these jokes that were flying over my head before because I didn't know what was happening. But I love all of this entire conversation in that room before he even brings out the black boxes. I got rich in the war when my mommy and daddy died, like just great stuff. Love it. Des, go ahead and take your shit.
Jesus. So we get our first mystery here. The mystery is who's the host. At this point, I'm assuming it's Wadsworth. I mean, at this point of writing this while watching the movie, Miss Peacock hints at, being a host, but I already don't care. And everyone's staring at her with the spoons in their mouths, not saying anything while they're eating the soup. It's just not funny. This is not fucking Big Trouble in Little China. This is not good satire. It's fucking lame. Like the camera, goes
It's not
across
satire.
them.
Nobody said it was satire.
Dude, you got 12 people still sitting there with their spoons 1 inch in front of their mouths, not eating, blinking, or saying anything. What do you call that?
Hysterical. Because she's rambling on this like no period 50 sentence thing,
50
and they're looking like, what
thing.
the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck?
And
exactly. Oh, we all agree. Okay. It's terrible, dude. So she goes on for fucking 2 hours like it was me breaking down Clue. And I'm just like, shut the fuck. I'm ready to be the murderer. I'm going to drown her in her soup, okay? Shut up. She's terrible. Again, love Mr. Green here. Dialogue at dinner. Not only is it boring, not one joke hits. Mr. Body grabs a waitress's ass. I roll my eyes. I hate the plot revolving around everybody's sexual preferences. I thought it was weird. It's like they took every sexual preference that you could have and they made it all wrong and blackmailable. And it just didn't work. I didn't think it was funny. Yeah. And this mind-numbing exposition and poor Mr. Green just for being gay bashed mentally. Just bad. Tony, what did you think of these scenes? Especially the soup scene.
This is why I wish our YouTube had video, because the amount of I'm shaking with disbelief that you're this fucking clueless about this movie. Dude. I love you guys to death, but dude, every section of this is wrong. You gave up on it, and now you just want to be angry about it because I feel you didn't get it. I feel like you started to not get it. You were looking for Big Trouble in Little China. You were looking for Happy Gilmore. You were looking for stupid comedy, because if you look at the cast, you got Christopher Lloyd, who plays a bumbling idiot in every movie. You got Michael McKean, who plays he's the king of the Christopher Guest mockumentaries. They all play stupid characters in the other movies. So that's what you were looking for. This movie flows so fast and quick. You were just angry that it wasn't what you wanted it to be.
So fast.
That's
and quick.
where I'm going to leave it.
So fast and quick.
Yes, fast and quick. I just explained that I had to see it 2 or 3 times to catch most of the jokes because it moves so fast that they're already on to the next joke and you're still trying to figure out what they just said. You're not catching up.
I'd watch The Fifth Element 3 times in a row before I would ever watch this again. And I hated that movie.
See, and right there, you're taking these movies that are for what they are, classics. And if you don't like them, you don't. I'm not going to angry you don't like it. Don't like it. I've never been one to say you shouldn't like this movie. I'll just tell you why I fucking hate it. And you're doing that, and I'm okay with it. I just can't believe that you are this off the mark
I hated
with
it.
this movie. But again, it is what it is. The only thing I will say about what we just talked about, the scenes, is I don't like the overdubbing for Mr. Body. His voice is different in every scene. It's
Yeah.
leaving from Fear, which I'm like, fuck yeah, Fear. All right, good. Dug that. And it's just he is possibly the weakest part of the movie, just because
Yeah.
he's so stiff. He's not an actor. What are you gonna do? He should be like, screaming "fuck you" to somebody off the stage. But I mean, outside of that, everything else about the introduction scene, the brandy scene, and basically getting to the first murder works for me. Everything about this movie works. Now again, it's funny because I let my son watch it. He didn't find it funny because he doesn't get the quick humor. He understands it was a comedy. It's just so I don't get it. I almost feel like maybe it is our generation that appreciates it more, and I don't know why that is. But
They say that I was reading a bunch of things about it, and they were saying that a lot of millennials picked up on it too, and they like it a lot. So
well, it has a resurgence in, like, I hate to say this because I'm going to get shit for it. With like local theaters do Clue now in their local theaters because it's so fast and so dialogue heavy, and again, the timing has to be there. So if you can pull this timing off on a local thing, I know you're looking, oh, local theater. It's hard to pull this fucking movie off.
Dying.
I mean, there's shadow cast that came into it, and they're not even delivering the lines. But anyway, all right,
So
we got to move past.
I'm not directing any more attention to another podcast, but I listened to another movie podcast, and they did Clue like maybe a year ago, and two of the fucking hosts, all our age. These people are all our age. Two of the hosts loved it, and one of them fucking hated it. So it's a polarizing movie, and not everyone's gonna love this movie.
Can't argue that. I
Fair.
can't argue that. But what's bothering me is the reasons you hate it are the reason everyone else loves it, and that's what's confusing to me. Like, how could we both see the same thing so completely opposite? But let's move on.
That's why
all
we do a
right,
podcast.
moving on. Mr. Body has other plans. He reminds them that exposing him will humiliate themselves, and he gives them all an object that could be used as a weapon: a candlestick, a dagger, a lead pipe, a revolver, a rope, and a wrench. He encourages them to kill Wadsworth, then they can all leave and pretend like they were never there. When he turns out the light, a gunshot rings out, but when the lights are turned back on, they find Mr. Body apparently dead without a visible wound. Yvette begins screaming in the billiards room, and the group goes to her. Wadsworth then goes on to explain that he was the one who arranged for everyone to meet, knowing that Mr. Body was blackmailing them. He reveals that his late wife committed suicide as a result of Mr. Body's manipulations, which drove them to try and help free them from the same cycle of blackmail by bringing them all together to force a confession out of him and then turn him over to the police. So I think in an ensemble cast like this, it would be really super easy for somebody to disappear. And I don't feel like anybody disappears in this. I really don't. I feel like everybody's carrying their weight. You get a little snippet from everybody in every scene, and you never really forget that anyone's there, to me. Des, what did you think?
Dude, it's just one long-winded giant chunk of exposition after another while people are sitting there like deers in the headlights watching the person talk. This confession from Wadsworth, it was so long-winded and so boring. I almost died. I just didn't care. I was struggling to keep watching at this point. It was really hard for me. It just didn't matter. I didn't find the mystery to be interesting. I didn't really care who did it. And as they just kept killing people in stupid ways, I just kept getting less and less fucking interested. Tony, what do you got?
All right, moving on to Tony.
Again, it's just, like I said, this is going to be just more of the same. It's like, I love how quick everything goes. I love the performances. And Dylan, you nailed it with you're so used to watching the person talking, you forget about the people in the background. So I did the same thing, and this time watching is like, how is everyone else reacting to what's going on? Because Madeline Kahn in this movie is just, I know everyone loves other movies. This is my favorite thing I think I've ever seen her in, because she's always emoting in the background. She's always got her Black Widow face on. And every once in a while, you see it crack when something that might implicate a murder, she gets nervous for it. whether they're even addressing her or not, but she's in the background. So again, it goes along with her character of the Black Widow, who's obviously killed several husbands.
Yes.
And I love her reactions. You miss things like that. It's my favorite thing in any movie. Horror movies, The Strangers, if you're not looking for the things in the background, you don't see them. But fuck, when you catch it, it's terrifying. In comedies, same thing. Someone doing something in the background that's not really meant to be addressed, but if you see it, it makes the scene 10 times better. So I think that's what this movie is full of. It's reactions, it's delivering the quick dialogue without stepping on the next person's line, while also not missing a beat.
Yep. There is a scene at one point, and I noticed it, and Leslie and Warren, they find the cook, and she kind of makes this body language like she's super uncomfortable. And I was like, I don't think I ever noticed that she did that before. And it's like, is it because she did it? Is it because she's looking at a dead body? Like, it's like you can almost read into it a bunch of different ways, but she does this little kind of like jiggly arm thing. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. So, and that she's way in the background. Like, you're not looking at her. The dead body's in front of you over here. So I thought that was fascinating.
The problem is, even with characters like Black Widow, which should have been a very interesting, cool character, and I should have been guessing what her motives were, and none of it mattered because all of these characters used the same tone, the same temperature. Their lines and dialogue all came out exactly the same. It was like they were all trying to imitate each other. So they didn't have identities. And that was a problem for me. Mrs. Black talked just like Mrs. White. There was no differentiation.
Completely disagree. Eileen Brennan was the neurotic person. Colonel Mustard was the elite male. He was the alpha male. You got Leary and cheesy, not Leary, not cheesy. Leary and slimy Christopher Lloyd. You got,
Plum.
Plum. And it's just everybody was completely different. I don't see how you could think they're all the same. It was just, oh my God.
You get the kind of older matronly woman, you get the sex pot, you get the Black Widow. Like these are archetypes. These are character archetypes. They're building off these archetypes.
Which is what the game was.
Yes. Absolutely. We're moving on because your opinion doesn't count anymore.
Characters had no identity. Oh, good.
All right, here we go. As they discuss what to do, they all realize that the cook is the only other person in the house. They rush to the kitchen, finding her body in the freezer with a knife in her back. They decide to bring her back to the other body in the library, but when they get there, Mr. Body's body is gone. While they try to figure out how somebody that is dead could move, Mrs. Peacock goes to the restroom in the hall and is attacked, quote unquote, by Mr. Body, though really his dead body was propped up against the door. So when she opened it, he fell out onto her. Now, this time he's really dead with an obvious blunt force trauma wound to his head. So the stupidity of a dead body being propped up against a door in a way that he could fall out like that aside, because that couldn't happen unless you crawled out the window or something. There's some great physical comedy here. Green trying to hold up the dead cook. Wadsworth telling Mrs. Peacock to faint into the arms and not catching her. It goes right through his arms. It's gold. It's gold, Jerry. I love it. Des, what did you think?
So when the cook is found dead, we get more boring accusations. This movie is full of more accusations than fucking, you did it. No, you did it. No, you did it. No, you did it. And then we get more fucking dumb slapstick that produces zero laughs. We're not going to get, hey, Billy, you ever see a grown man naked? Or a fucking automatic fucking pilot blow up doll fucking getting
why would you? This is not that kind of movie.
But it is that kind of movie. That's how lowbrow and stupid these jokes are. I didn't laugh at any of them.
That's why you didn't get it.
Oh, fuck you. So usually with this kind of movie, I'm trying to figure out what's going on, make up my own ideas, but not here. I've already realized there's no way that's going to work for this movie because this plot is so loosely written. It doesn't really have a solid end game. So you're not going to figure it out. In fact, it's got 3 end games and they're all wishy-washy trash. Tony, what you think? It was tough.
This is the one that's going to break Tony. This is where I get
my payback for making me watch this piece of shit.
It's just again. It's going to be the same comments over and over. I loved when they're carrying Mr. Body in and they drop him and they're it's their reactions. It's them. And I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but even later on when they walk in and the cop's dead, it's like they all just yep, a body. And they walk in another room, there's another body. They're so used to it at this point. Their lack of reaction had me rolling.
Yes.
It's just their performances. It's each individual performance. Every character is gold for me, and I can't. I'm going to keep saying the same thing over and over. It's the individual line delivery over and over. Every section we go over, that's going to be my comment. I love every character. I love every actor in this. I love it.
Okay, Mr. Mom. Good thing about rewiring the whole house. You do it in 220, 220, 221, whatever it takes. Okay, this is some great facial comedy. This shit is funny. I'm laughing out loud. This guy never delivered one line like that or gave me one facial expression like that in this entire movie. There were no laughs.
Because they had to play it straight. That's why it works. Mr. Mom was a little exaggeration on his character was supposed to be the goofy boss, the goofy sexual predator boss. Oh, but we can't talk about that. But let's talk about the gay people in this movie. Whatever. Just pick and choose your battles, kid.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
It's a great fucking movie. They're both great movies, but you're nitpicking the same things we. Oh, when we talk about Bad Boys, everybody was a fag. Everybody was a fag. But let's pick on that Mr. Green is gay in this. Pick your fucking battles, okay?
Oh, I love you calling out the hypocrisy.
It's so Martin Mull had to play it straight. He's a military man. He's not going to. No one's gawking at the camera. No one's winking. They're playing their characters as they're supposed to for a quote 1950s movie, 40s and 50s movies. So that's how those characters were in those movies. So no one's. Ugh. It's like.
So jokes weren't funny in the 50s, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Whenever I bring up, like, I feel like, oh, I don't like the way they represented gay people in this movie. Like, well, that was the way it was supposed to be. But like in this movie, it's a problem.
Yeah, because they're getting on fucking on one of my favorite singers from Spinal Tap. You don't call him names. Okay?
Yeah, your favorite singer. What's his name?
His name is
Nigel. It's not Nigel.
No, I don't know.
Not Derek. No. It's not Derek Smalls.
No, it's not. It's the bass player. It's the bass player.
Yeah.
What is it? He's trying to Google it. Tony, he's trying to Google it.
Totally tap.
Because you guys put me on. Because you guys put me on the.
It's David. David what?
David St. Hubbins.
Oh, thanks for that revelation, there, buddy. Moving on.
Nice job, Google.
Dude, because I didn't because I've seen that movie 100,000 times.
You couldn't remember the lead character.
No, because you put me on the spot. I love it. Okay. David St. Hubbins.
Right. Moving on. With the murderer on the loose, Wadsworth locks up the weapons in the cupboard and is about to throw the key away when a stranded motorist arrives. He asks to use the phone and is locked in the lounge. Wadsworth then throws the key into the rain. Mustard proposes they split into pairs and search the house to make sure nobody else is there. While they're searching, the motorist is killed with the wrench. Going through a secret passage, Mustard and Scarlett find his corpse in the locked lounge. Screaming to be let out, the other guests try to come and help, but the door is solid. Yvette uses a revolver from the suspiciously now unlocked cupboard to shoot out the keyhole. Mustard storms out and yells at her for shooting at them when the chandelier above him comes crashing down.
Tony, nicely played. Fatality. Kill me on that one. I want a gummy. That's
no excuse. No excuse.
That should chill you out, man. You've been on fire today, so you gotta just
Tony fucking dropped the mic and walked off stage. He's like, "Yeah, eat that, St. Hubbins."
I'm the horror guy, but I'll fucking kill you in comedies.
That was fucking great.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Nicely played.
Oh my god. All right, honey. So tell us all about how you hate finding the corpse in the lounge.
So why didn't everyone run when Wadsworth opened the door for the motorist? Run. Everyone run. No one's running. I'm going to get that joke again repeated when the cop comes. I'm just rolling my eyes. More rambling exposition. And this stupid who's on first routine between Wadsworth and Mr. Mustard. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Dude, it was fucking stupid. It wasn't funny. And it went on and on. It went on it was terrible. Hated it. Jesus. The matchstick scene was refreshing because no one was because everybody just sat there quietly for 30 seconds. No one said anything, and I went, okay, everybody just enjoy the silence for a minute. It was great. I'm praying for a jump scare. Nope, never came. Praying for a laugh. Nope, never came. Finally, we get a gloved person destroying evidence and grabbing a wrench and a phone call from a traveler revealing his old boss at the party is there. And now I'm like, okay, we're gonna get a little mystery. Who's got the gloves? Who's got the wrench? Nope, none of it matters. Search goes on way too long. They find the dead motorist, and it's more accusations. You did it. What a snooze fest. Tony, what do you got? Davidson Hubbins.
What was the drummer's name?
Which one? There were many that were turned into little green
Well, at
globulars.
least you knew that. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, you're the best.
Yay, you!
I can sing all the songs.
Interesting fact about the motorist was actually the deputy in Jaws. It was Deputy Hendricks in
yeah.
Jaws. So I was one of those like, how do I know him? That's where it's from. I rewound the scene 3 times between the scene that you hate between Martin Mull and you're using a double negative, It's like that scene is so quick and so smart and written so fucking well. Like to just go back, like, did he answer me? Did he not answer me? Like, and I wanted to make sure I was getting it all, and I did, and I rewound it, and that was the one that made my son just like that. That was funny. I like that scene. Like the wordplay. You have to appreciate good dialogue to really get it, and to want to get it, I should say. If you're looking for something else, I can't argue with what you're saying, because if you're looking for slapstick, you're looking for silly comedy, this is not your movie.
Or a mystery.
Yeah. And I get it. It's a comedy mystery.
It's not funny.
Not even in the sense of like Murder by Death. That was more slapstick. That was satire. This was again, the only thing I can go back to is the Marx Brothers, but the Marx Brothers were too slapstick. They were physical comedy. But if you read the intricacies of their dialogue back and forth, it's the same thing. There's not a lot of jokes. There's just a lot of line delivery. And that's the only thing I can get close to delivering, to being close to what this movie is. That's why I love it so much. There are few movies out there like that I can appreciate the dialogue for just the way it's delivered. The acting has carried the script.
But with this much exposition, none of it really made the story more interesting. It just felt like babble.
I understand why you're saying it, but it had to get to a certain point. But each one of these exposition, even though it felt like babble, there were small nuggets of information that made you go, all right, was that person there? Who is telling the truth? Who's not? You checked out of who's the murderer right away. So you didn't care. And that's okay.
By the
People
end,
who wanted to see where it was going to go, I enjoyed. This is a road trip I totally enjoyed.
Oh my God.
I loved, like, from the start to the end. So, I mean, I'm not going to say there weren't some potholes. Definitely were. The cop coming in. It was like, you're right. I felt there were too many people walking into the scenes. And when they finally killed the singing telegram, that broke the cycle. Was the funniest part of the fucking thing. And I loved it. But yeah, there were too many, like, boom, boom, boom. And then by the time Howard Hessman shows up, you're like, all right, come on. That I get. But the central 7, fucking gold. I'm going to keep saying gold because that's all it was.
There might have been some gold, like, in all of this exposition, but it just got plowed over by too much talking. Got lost in the mix.
I think the only buddy that's doing too much talking right now is you.
Oh, shit. All right. Okay.
Okay, so a police officer investigating the motorist's abandoned car arrives and comes in to use the telephone. The guests resume their search for the mansion. The electricity is then turned off. Yvette, the cop, and a singing telegram girl are all subsequently murdered with a rope, lead pipe, and a revolver, respectively. Wadsworth and the others regroup after he turns the electricity back on, and he reveals that he knows who the murderer is. He proceeds to recreate the events of the night so far as to explain how the murders occurred. He reveals that the other 5 people who died with Mr. Body were his accomplices who gave him the vital information about the guests so that they could be blackmailed. After an evangelist interrupts them, Wadsworth continues and shuts off the electricity again. So at this point is where we now diverge into the 3 different endings. And as we mentioned before, or I'm not sure if we actually mentioned this, and when you went to the theater, you got one of the 3. You didn't get all 3. And as we...
Man.
Just shut up.
Jesus.
Will you shut up?
Yeah, that was a good choice.
Shut up. I actually think that instead of being a gimmick that brought people in to see it, I think this gimmick, along with poor reviews, sunk the film. I think if they had just released it in the form that we see it now with all 3 back to back, it would have been better received, because who wants to go and pay for 3 different tickets to see what's supposed to be, quote unquote, a movie? And also, when you get to this point in the movie, you're only about an hour in. So if you just play one of those endings, you're only seeing about an hour 20, hour 25, maybe. And that's just not enough for somebody
it's
that's
more
paying
than
for
enough.
a ticket.
And it should
It's
have
not.
come with just the final ending with with David St. Hubbard being the fucking like that's
Hubbins.
Hubbins. That first of all, I'm editing out the whole Spinal Tap thing so I don't look dumb.
Yeah, as Wadsworth said, you don't need any help from me, sir.
Okay. All right. So the cop shows up again. Door opens, no one runs. And we get more bad jokes. And I hated the introduction of this cop. His character was over the top stupid. It wasn't funny. It was just like, here, come into this room. Okay. And he shuts the door. Jeez. The Weekend at Bernie's scenes where they're just like trying to hold up the dead bodies, it just wasn't funny. It wasn't funny like at Weekend at Bernie's. And the lights
Weekend
off.
at Bernie's is prime fucking
and-
comedy.
And when they cut the lights, the power off. So we're missing scenes. Like there's that movie, what's it called? Where the teenagers are going to Europe to find the girl that the kid meets on the internet.
Scotty
and-
doesn't know.
Yeah, Scotty doesn't know that movie.
European trip or European vacation, something like
European trip or whatever it is.
European road trip, something.
European road trip. So at one point they're on a train. The 3 of them are in a car with a strange European man sitting across from them. He's obviously a little fruity. And they go into a tunnel and the light goes black. And when they come out of the tunnel, he's sitting right next to the one kid, like with his pants off. I fucking start laughing because that shit's funny. The lights go out here and it just, nothing happens. It's stupid.
Why is it funny when you're making fun of a gay guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
It
not
was
funny.
great.
That's persecution.
Listen, I'm not a social justice warrior. I was just making observations.
Dear.
Making observations that work in your favor.
And when Wadsworth takes us through all the murders again, I literally almost died when I said, now I have to watch Tim Curry recreate the entire movie
This
3
is the best
times
part
in a
because
row.
he literally is able to do spot on impersonations of every single person.
It might have been funny once, maybe, and it wasn't because I hated the whole movie, so I didn't want to watch it done again by Tim Curry in 4 minutes, and then again in 4 minutes, then again in 4 minutes.
But he doesn't go through the whole thing every single time. He starts at the lights out.
I'll just
So,
give you my
you're
last thought. So
You're
none
just
of
wrong.
these endings were anything more than a long-winded means to the end, and I just didn't care one bit, and I was glad it was over. But if I had to pick one of these endings, it would be the last one because it incorporates David St. Hubbins into the movie, and I enjoyed his character, and I liked watching the actual only transformation of any character in the entire movie. He actually had a character arc. And it was good, and he broke out as the fucking FBI guy, and I thought it was not clever, but it was something. Tony.
Okay. Flames should. So
James.
I agree. I love the last ending best as well because it does bring all of the best quotes. It's the flames are in there.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.
Yeah.
It's got all the great lines at the end. The recreations are possibly up there with, again, if I could take like a 5-minute scene and go, all right, in all the world of comedies, where that is going to be top 10 for me. Him running around doing the impressions of and going with it. He is so good. Like I said, there's that meme. It's like you can judge a person by what film you know Tim Curry from. My first instinct is always to go Rocky Horror because it's fucking ingrained because I did it for how many fucking years. But when I think about it, sorry, Clue is the top of the list for him. He is fucking brilliant in this movie. He's so good. And it's the one that I hope he's remembered for.
Are you talking about Tim Curry?
Tim Curry, yeah.
So should I put this character with fucking The Darkness and Frankfurter and you would have picked this? Is that what you're telling me?
Totally would have picked him.
That's what you're telling me?
I
100%.
love him in this movie. Love him.
One more
So quick,
observation.
so fast.
One more observation, Tony. I am so impressed that you picked up on that I had blanked on that name, that you picked up on it when I said my favorite singer, and you
Yeah.
just knew you had me. You like those are rare moments in life when you're like, this guy doesn't have one bullet in that gun, and I am gonna.
1 plus 2
2
plus 2
plus 1
plus
plus 2 plus 1.
you're like he has a 2 and a 7. And like we're playing blackjack. You're like, you have nothing. Nothing. It was so good.
my God.
I started sweating.
Let's finish it up.
Go,
All right.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
So-
I'm not even gonna go through all the endings because there's no need to.
Thank
One
you.
is Miss Scarlet. She had Yvette help her, and one is Mrs. Peacock killed everybody to cover up the engagement of her bribes, and the last one is that Wadsworth is actually Mr. Body, and each one of those people at the party has killed somebody else. It was the informant that was responsible for them. And as you said, Mr. Green actually is an undercover. He's a plant. I thought they called guys like you a fruit. And he gets to go home and sleep with his wife at the end.
It's not funny. Tell me why this ending, just pick one and tell me why it's great and it was worth sitting through an hour and a half of just brutal exposition.
Here's the thing. You're not going to change your mind. You hated it. You did
But
not
why?
fucking give it
But-
a fair
but what-
shake at all. So you're not going to. I'm not
But
going
what
to
was clever?
change your mind here. It's not going
What
to
was
happen.
good about the ending that made you went, oh, that's so satisfying. That's a great ending.
Because it makes you think, was that person there? Was it not there? What did I miss? What did I not miss? And if you actually notice something, it's like, yeah, he wasn't there. That's right. It literally ties the whole movie. And again, watching Tim Curry bounce back and forth, run, everybody's feet running. It's so silly in the good way, not silly in a dumb way, that you can't believe they're all falling along. And it's like, him running up the stairs and what's her name falling down and him coming back down and picking her up. It's fucking ballet. They're physically, at this point in the movie, they're all physically running after him. And this is where the physical humor comes in. They're going up downstairs. They're going in outdoors. They're screaming. They turn off the light. And it's like his impressions of everybody. It's so good.
Yeah.
Again, if you bought into the movie, this is like the cherry on top of it. Is watching it all unfold, explanation, and performances of everybody still in their great character. But when, depending which ending you get, that's the turn of that character. All of a sudden, Miss Peacock in her ending turns this cold, heartless bitch.
Right.
And the same with Miss Scarlet. She's the wisecracking, madam who suddenly turns into the Black Widow. But again,
Yeah.
I agree with you. Mr. Green's arc from the nervous throwing the drink out of his hand when the lights go out to the all-knowing, I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife, all-American man was great. And that's my favorite one. So
And
that's
now
why
he's a
this
good guy. And now he's a good guy because he's a family man, not a homosexual anymore.
It has nothing to do with that.
I know. I'm just giving you guys the business now.
Holy fuck.
Are we doing a recasting or what are we doing? Let's move on.
Well, okay. I mean, I already tipped my hat on my recast. My recast is I want Carrie Fisher as Miss Scarlet. I love Carrie Fisher. I would love to have seen it.
So Tony, I get what you guys are saying too about going back and checking the footage. Like, was this person here when he was supposed to be? Wasn't he? I get it. I get it if you're into the movie doing that and being amazed by how tight the script is, I guess, in spots that I didn't notice because I only watched it once. And maybe I'm not appreciating some of the detail that they added as they went along for you to go back and fact check. With a movie like Rocky Horror, I wanted to commit the time to do that. So I knew when to say slut. I knew when to say, I wanted to invest that time. For this, I really don't want to, but if you enjoy the movie and you want to find the charm in it, I guess that's kind of what you need to do. So, go do that. And, maybe I'm just dumb. Okay.
That was a backpedal right there. That was
Dude, that was me saying, Tony,
shit,
come back.
We're gonna lose some people over this one. I better pull back a little bit.
He's
That
afraid
was
he's going to lose you.
That was me saying, Tony, make sure you come back for your next episode. Okay. All right. So my recasting couch, I'm going to replace Martin Mull with Ed Brimley because he's got the diabetes.
Diabetes.
Okay.
Is that Ed Brimley?
Well,
Is
no,
that
it's
his
Martin.
name?
Ed Brimley's diabetes, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So Martin Mull's coming out and Ed Brimley's going in. Tony, what do you got?
All right, this was hard because I mean everybody in this movie is fucking perfect. I didn't know the Carrie Fisher thing until today when I started to research that a bit more. So I went a whole different route. One of the other great movies. I mean, Tim Curry's in everything. You can't replace Tim Curry.
No.
So the only
No.
other thing that really made me think it's like, all right, what was the other almost perfect movie he was in? And that was Muppet Treasure Island. So I'm going to keep Tim Curry, but I'm replacing everybody else with Muppets.
Okay.
You got
Jesus.
Professor Plum as Beaker.
Oh,
You got Mrs. White is obviously Miss Piggy.
oh,
Of course.
God.
Miss Pete. I'm sorry, no. Mr. Green is Gonzo.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, has to be. Scarlet has to be Camilla the chicken because he loves chickens and he was layering all over the whole time. Colonel Mustard is Sam Eagle, and I think this movie would be fucking brilliant. And I'm all in on that. So
Just what I
Okay,
thought.
I'm
There we go.
finding that. I'm
Just
feeling
when I
that.
thought Clue couldn't get any worse. Okay. All right. Let's do some final thoughts and we'll score this sucker and log it where it needs to be logged. This was way worse than The Fifth Element. And as everybody knows who listened to our review of The Fifth Element, I fucking hated that movie. It was torture watching this for me, literally torture. I checked the timer 50 times. Mr. Green, played by the great Michael McKean, who also played David St. Hubbins in Spinal Tap, one of my favorite singers, was the only character with any depth or character arc and the only fun reveal at the end of a long, boring movie. My rewatch score is 0.5 rewatches. That is a half a rewatch. Oh,
Wow.
got it. Never watch this movie again. Glenn, what did you think? I'll let Tony go last so we can like pad his score a little if he wants to fucking try it.
No, it's gonna be a
Uh,
5. Don't even fucking. It's gonna be a 5 just to shut you up.
Oh, shit.
All right. I'm shaving a few points off just for a couple of minor things. I'm giving it a 4.82.
Oh,
I love
God.
it.
Okay.
I don't care what you think.
So what's better, this or Rocky Horror, you two? Tony,
Two different animals. That's
Yeah.
like saying, you know, cats and dogs. You can't.
if you're going to
compare
show
the
somebody
two.
a Tim Curry movie, which one are you showing?
I'd
Clue.
imagine show them this.
Okay, you two,
Yeah.
Dylan?
Yeah.
Guys are out of your fucking
Yeah,
mind.
because well, so here's the thing about Rocky Horror. First of all, Rocky Horror is great up until right
The
after
credits?
Eddie's scene. No,
Yeah,
right
just
after
say
Eddie's scene.
Right after Eddie.
Right after Eddie, it kind of drops off. When we used to do the show, if you went on your night that you weren't performing, you would leave after Eddie. Like you just did. Everyone always did. We
That's
always went.
right.
Yeah. We always would go to the border and eat.
Go to the border.
And wait for everyone to finish the show. And then we would go out and party afterwards. But you would stay until Eddie and then you would leave.
Tony,
and
were
so-
you Eddie?
I was
Yes.
Eddie.
Tony was Eddie, everybody. Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, the only one that can walk in, steal the scene from Frankenfurter, have the best song, and now let's go to the border.
And get a fucking enchilada. Perfect.
Yep. So, like unfortunately the back half of that movie is tough. It's a tough just like cuz I watch it every Halloween just as a matter of fact, and it's tough to watch the back half of that movie. It gets a little sloggy, it gets a little slow, and by the very end I'm Coming Home is awesome, but leading up to that there's that space of about half an hour to 45 minutes that's a little tough to sit through. Clue does not do that. Clue starts off fast, it moves fast all the way to the end. I know you disagree, but that's the truth.
Yes. So what's your score? Oh yeah, we already gave it
4.82.
4.82. Tony, save this thing.
I think this discussion has really made us go, we need to do Rocky Horror.
Oh,
I think we have so many thoughts on Rocky. I think we need to do Rocky Horror at some point.
I absolutely will do that with you.
To offset, I have to go 5 to offset him just to bring some, because we're going to get killed by that point. But if I was doing a reality, it's not a perfect film, not by any means. But
Right.
it would be nitpicking to pull out anything. I feel that, like I said, I do agree the interruptions with other people got a little tired after with the cop. It's one thing to have one person show up. Singing Telegram was hysterical, so that doesn't count. But I mean, the cop going around seeing everybody, that did bug me.
Yeah.
But the writing, the direction, the editing had to be on fucking fire to make the lines work.
Right.
The funny thing is, there was very few one shots. there's always 2 or 3 people in every single scene. So everybody had to hit their mark and their line delivery perfectly, or you fuck up the scene. That's the stuff I look for in movies like this, that have the rapid fire jokes, that have the rapid fire line delivery. And again, I'm going out on a fucking weird, really tangent, but it's like, I did one play in my life, and I did it 2 years ago. And not stepping on someone's lines is really fucking hard. When you're on stage, when you're acting, not doing that in something that fast is so hard to keep your character, knowing you got a line coming up, and having someone deliver it, and your beat has to be on. This movie is seriously, and maybe I'm giving it way too much credit, is a fucking masterclass in line delivery, and the writing is just so quick and so smart. I love this movie. I will honestly give it like a 4.95. I'm not going to give it a perfect 5 because I can't do that.
Tony, I will agree with you with that. With as much exposition and as quickly as it's like fired at you, they definitely all had expert like ninja timing to pull it off. It just didn't work for me. But I see the talent in the line delivery with as much as they were given to do. It's a lot. So, okay, Delin, Jesus. I couldn't go any higher because this thing can't be up there dancing with movies it doesn't belong with. It can't. What do you got?
It's number 43.
Nice, right in the middle. It's mid-packer.
What's above and below? Because we always
right above it is U571, and right underneath it is Kingpin.
Oh, this is so fucking low. That's terrible. But okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
Kingpin
it's so
is
much
way
better
better
than both
this.
of those. No, it's not. You cannot
No.
even tell me that fucking movie with Woody Harrelson and the taking the feet off of a fucking cow or a horse is better than this. Like, you just can't. I'm sorry.
You know what other movie is better than this? Neighbors with John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd.
No, it's not. No, it's
1,000 times. Oh,
It's
Tony's
not.
thinking about it. 1,000 times
It's not.
better.
I haven't seen that in at least 15 years. I would love to see that again.
Yeah.
Because I remember it being so dark that I didn't get it. I didn't know it was supposed to be a comedy
So good.
when I first saw it. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to comment on that because that's
It's
just
so good. And Delin gave it like a half a point.
I did not. I never have ever scored anything under a 1.
Would you give it a 1?
I never have scored anything under a 1.
Yeah, you and Pat like mustered up like a 1.5 between you. Okay. Great. So we're all done.
we're done.
Yeah.
Tony's like, this is it.
So Breaking Vinyl is taking a 2-week hiatus, so we can all clear our heads and get our shit together. But we will be back on April 26th, where we will be reviewing Bon Jovi's New Jersey. Why we're not doing Slippery and Wet, I don't know. Ask Ed. Doing New Jersey, okay? Lay your hands on me. This fucking album blows. So that's it. So we're going to enjoy our time off, and we'll be back. And yeah. So until next time, I just have one question for you. Hey, did you ever see that movie? See you next time.